Hey beautiful people, I just want to show you two beautiful games that I just played on leeches in the Petrov or against the Russian defense players. So far I don't remember the last time I lost against the Russian defense using this line. So this begins with e4, then black plays e5 as usual. You play knight to f3 and then knight to f6. So this is called the Russian game, and there's one funny trick that I showed you in one of my previous videos where you can try to force an early draw. So this is when you want to bore your opponent to death. So after knight f6, you simply take on e5 with your knight, and the theoretical move here is pawn to d6. That's what they play, and this is when you surprise your opponent with a move knight takes f7, sacrificing your knight. Even masters do believe in this line, and it's very much playable even in classical tournaments. So black has to take, and after this it's up to you to play pawn to d4 or knight c3. This is very dangerous, just like the Halloween Gambit. I love pawn to d4 because it creates an impression as if I forgot to protect my pawn on e4 as well. If black takes, I can simply go queen h5 check, and on the next move play my signature move to win that knight or winning back the piece I sacrificed. For example, after pawn to g6 there's queen d5 check, and if king g7 or bishop 6, well and good, I can just take back my piece. And what has happened is I managed to make black lose his right to castle, that's one, and I managed to open up these lines for my bishops, not to mention that I'm ahead in development with more attacking opportunities. Anyway, if black doesn't take on e4 after you play pawn to d4, and let's say they play something like bishop e7, trying to hide their king, well, the best you can do is just to go knight c3, and let's say if rook e8 comes, you go bishop c4 check. This is not possible because of these simple tactics. If bishop e6, now you go bishop takes e6 check. If king takes e6, you go bishop e3. Let's say king f7, queen f3, intending to go pawn to e5. If king g8 is played, you can still play this, by the way, and after de you take back with your pawn, and it turns out there's only one safe square where this knight can go to, which is the d7 square. But after this you can just grab another free pawn intending to take the rook. What is the whole idea of this gambit called the Cochrane Gambit against the Petrov defense? Grandmasters have proven that black never gets counterplay in the opening stage. If white keeps on playing with his center pawns like this can be full of tactics if you bring in your minor pieces as well, just like what we see in the Halloween Gambit. For those of you who don't know the Halloween Gambit, it goes as follows: e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and after knight c3, black plays knight to f6. This is when you can surprise them with the move knight takes e5. This is an aggressive and complex gambit where white sacrifices a piece with the idea of central pawn storm, with the possibility of gaining time by driving back the black knights. And that is exactly what we do in the Cochrane Gambit against the Petrov. If knight takes, you simply go pawn to d4, and this can be even worse. Let's say if black plays knight back to c6, you go pawn to d5. If knight e5, that will give you more time to go pawn to f4. So let's say the knight goes back, you can simply go pawn to e5. What can black do? And now the f knight doesn't have any good squares to go to. Maybe knight g8, but that allows pawn to d6, and at the end of the day you are threatening to go queen e2 check and get rid of black's dark squared bishop, or probably start creating some more attacking chances as highlighted on the board. So this is the whole idea. Same idea with the Cochrane Gambit against the Petrov defense, but hold on, there is a more advanced trap that you can try out against the Petrov defense, or the so-called Russian game. And what I'm about to show you guys is a trap called white quick on the draw in the same Russian defense, and it may be appropriate for players with white pieces who are up against higher rated opponents and just want to get a quick draw with white. So as usual, you begin with e4, then black plays e5, knight to f3, knight to f6, and then instead of taking right away like what you do in the normal Russian game, you first of all go pawn to d4, a move that you must always remember The idea is that if pawn takes, you simply go pawn to e5, and this would turn back to be a normal game where you can take back your pawn if you want immediately with your queen, or play in the style of the Scotch Gambit. This will be a video for another day, but let's see what happens if black plays the top played move knight takes e4, normal Russian game, modern attack. Well, this is when you develop your light squared bishop with tempo. If the knight goes back to f6, you have pawn takes e5 once again. If d5, the top played move in both the Lichess database and the Masters database, this is when you simply take back on e5 with your knight. So a little bit of theory here. The top played move in the Masters database, theoretically speaking, is knight d7, challenging your knight on e4 or simply trying to get rid of it. Once again, this is when you can surprise your opponent by simply taking on f7, sacrificing your knight, so that if king takes, now you go queen h5 check with the same idea. Ladies and gentlemen, check this position in the Masters database and all you will find are draws. Simply because masters do understand these things very well. If black plays pawn to g6, the idea is just to take on d5 with check and then win black's knight on e4 with your bishop. So black should play king e7 if they don't want you to take their pawn on d5, because if you take this pawn, black can then just retreat his knight and he's good. So here is how you force a draw. You just go back to e2, queen e2, intending to go pawn to f3 next, and theoretically speaking, black should go back to f7, you go back queen h5 check, they play king e7, you go back queen e2. Guys, believe you me, you can check the Masters database in this position, and here are the games you can see with your own eyeballs. This is how grandmasters make quick draws if they are not in the mood of playing, or maybe if they want to force either a draw or a win. By the way, if black gets greedy and plays something else like knight f6, here is how the game may continue. You begin with pawn to f3, trying to get back your piece. Let's say bishop e6, because what else can they do? F takes e4, d takes e4, and then bishop takes e4. Theoretically speaking, black should take with his queen. If knight takes e4, you're going to defend your d4 pawn easily and pave way for your dark squared bishop. This looks bad already, and it's only white who has a better pawn structure plus a pawn advantage. So this is clearly winning for white in the endgame. So it is for this reason that black has to take with a queen if he still wants to take a quick draw. And now you go knight c3. It looks logical. Knight takes e4, knight takes e4, and now the game is just too oversimplified with a symmetrical pawn structure. Just exchange all the big pieces evenly for an equal pawn endgame. That is if you still want to get a quick draw. Anyway, so this again is called a white quick on the draw. It's a theoretical line and every master should know this. Anything else that black plays, by the way, gives white a huge advantage. Let's say after knight takes e4 and bishop d3 attacking the knight first, then pawn to d5, a common move, and knight takes e5. If black doesn't play knight d7 and let's say they go bishop d6, well, keeping everything simple, you know that if they take your knight, you're going to get back with your pawn, hence advancing your pawn on a better square. So you can just play knight c3 in this position, because if they take, your position is not bad, by the way. I mean, this is good. Again, if this, you will get rid of their bishop pair and you will advance your pawn on a better square. So they better castle short, then you do the same. Now, if knight d7 comes, you simply go rook e1, support your advanced pawn. And let's say rook e8. Things don't look right on this side of the board, as you can tell, because now a Greek gift sacrifice is even possible here. After king takes, you go queen h5 check and then win a couple of pawns like this. Let's say king h7, you go queen g6 check. If king h8, you have knight f7 check and win black's queen on d8. And if king g8, you can simply go bishop g5 attacking the queen. If bishop e7 is played, now you go queen e6 check. And it's just a matter of time before you find the right spot to put your opponent in zugzwang. The move here is queen h5 check, for example, forcing black to go back and then win their queen like this. And now to prove to you that these things do actually work, let me show you two bullet games that I played on Lichess where I tried these ideas, and just like I said in the intro of this video, I haven't lost with this Cochrane Gambit against Petrov so far. The games are not perfect, but I just want you guys to get some ideas. I started with e4, then my opponent responded with the Petrov defense or the Russian game. So pawn to d4 will lead to a quick draw that I just showed you, but I just decided to take on e5 because what else do I know? Black played d6 and then I surprised her by sacrificing my knight on f7. By the way, my opponent was at 2200, so she took, and then I played pawn to d4 right away, sacrificing my second piece, in this case the pawn. g6 was played, and then I played knight c3 because what else? My opponent played knight c6, a standard move, and I played pawn to f4, still realizing that I need to play with my center pawns for my Cochrane Gambit to work against the Petrov. Also, I missed pawn to h3. I should have played that earlier. My opponent played queen e7, then I played pawn to e5, pawn takes, fe5, attacking the knight. Then knight d7 was played. I played bishop c4 check, and now according to Stockfish, I'm doing better besides being down a piece. So this is not for the faint-hearted or people who lack courage. My opponent played king g7, I castled short. The idea is to go rook f7 check and win the queen, and that's what happened in the game after knight b6. I simply played rook f7 check and I ended up winning my opponent's queen and overall winning the whole game. It was just a matter of technique before punishing my opponent as shown on the board. It was not good. And look at this checkmate, guys. King h6. I played rook takes f4, and after bishop c5, I missed this beautiful move, queen h5 check, which was going to be followed by this beautiful checkmate. But anyways, I still played one unsolvable move, pawn to g4, leading to the same idea, a mate in two, because whatever black was going to do, I had this in mind. And so this is where the game ended. This was game 2, I guess. The other game I played was against a 24-13 rated opponent. So this was a higher rated opponent, and see what I did to him. e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6. What else do I know apart from taking? And after d6, who am I when there's nothing to sacrifice? King takes f7. I played pawn to d4 with the same idea that I just showed you in the intro of this video. And so my opponent played bishop e7. I played knight c3 once again, preparing for bishop c4 check. I just want to continue playing with my pawns. Pawn to h3 is coming. So my opponent here played pawn to c6, understanding this idea, but I just played pawn to f4 because I saw there was no need to go bishop c4 check because of this. Rook f8 was played in an effort to hide the king, and I said no. I continued attacking on the center, pushing that knight away like this. Then I played bishop d3, and just to be honest, there are some moves that I was missing, but this didn't look bad either. My opponent played pawn to g6, stopping queen h5 check and maybe sack on h7, and so I just played bishop h6 anyways, equalizing the game and also just attacking the rook. Rook e8 was played, a mistake. And this was a 2400, by the way. I just castled short with check. After king g8, I played queen f3, trying to give a check. Bishop e6 was played, and now I played queen g3, intending to sacrifice my bishop. My opponent played knight a6, trying to develop a piece that was doing nothing, but this allowed me to sacrifice my bishop anyways, and it was all bad because I ended up checkmating my opponent this way after bishop h4, attacking my queen. I played bishop f7, double check by the way, so black has no time to take my queen, and after king h8, a walk of shame, I simply delivered this beautiful checkmate against a 24-13 rated opponent using the Cochrane Gambit against a Petrov. Let me know what you think in the comment section, you guys. If you think this is a beautiful gambit, especially for those who just want to play around and get a quick draw. The thing is, you mock black into thinking he is better since he is up a piece, but that's not always the case, as in the Halloween Gambit. Same idea, same WhatsApp group. Let me know what you think, you guys. So far I haven't lost any game using this Cochrane Gambit, but if you lose, don't insult me, it's all up to you. So be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more wonderful content, and don't just subscribe, also turn on the bell notification icon in order to get my daily uploads, because most of you guys do miss my uploads. Right, thank you for watching this video. Also follow me on Patreon, which is my membership site where we study more and more chess stuff. Until next time, bye bye.